Hi and welcome back everyone. In this video we're going to take a look at something new in programming. It is called a for loop. In programming, loops are really important. When computers run, they can do things really quickly. They can perform tasks over and over again, and typically they do that in what we call a loop. And a loop can run infinitely, so it can run forever, over and over and over again. Or maybe it only runs a fixed number of times, and that was what we call a finite loop. So maybe we only want something to, say, flash on and off, say 5 times or 10 times. We don't want it to go on forever. So we can control the number of times we want something to happen by using a for loop. And that's what we're going to take a look at in this example. First thing, we are going to have something above void setup. Above void setup here, typically what you can do is set up variables. And in this case here, just to show you how it works, we're going to set up an integer variable. Integers are numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. No decimals, no fractions. We're going to set up an integer variable using int space, and then the name of the variable. And the light is this here. This is our LED. And we're going to make it equal to 13. And what that represents is the pin number. Why would you want to do that? Well, I might build a circuit, and let's say instead of using pin 13, for whatever reason, I need to use pin 2. So what I can do is I can just quickly go up here and I can change this from 13 to 2. And then in my code, as you're going to see, it's all going to change because I've changed the value up here where I've declared this variable. Notice that there's a semicolon at the end here. So at the top, we can declare variables if we want to use them in our program. Next, we have our void setup. Remember that that only runs once when the Arduino is powered up. And what it does is does things like it sets which pins are output pins or input pins, and we do that with the pin mode command. Notice here I've got pin mode bracket light. Well, that's the name of the variable. And remember that that's equal to 13. So we're telling it that we want pin 13, which is held in this variable here, to be an output pin. Next, we have the void loop function. Remember, this runs continuously when the Arduino is powered up. It's void space loop. And again, we got bracket, bracket. You got open curly brace here and open curly brace here. Here is our for loop. This is what we're going to use to control how many times something happens. What we're going to do is I want to flash the green LED off and on 3 times, and then do a big long pause. So how do I do 3 times? Well, I use a for loop, and here's how it works. We write the word for, and then in brackets we have int space x equals 1. So what that means is I'm going to have a counter counting how many times this is going to loop, and it's going to start with 1. It's got a semicolon, and it's going to continue looping as long as this is true. As long as x is less than or equal to 3, it will do this here. Once this becomes false, then it jumps out and goes to the next line of code. You can see that we've got a for loop here, we've got a curly brace here, curly brace here. So this is the for loop structure. This is the code after it. Now, how does it know to go up by 1 every time? Well, that's what this is for here. This tells this loop to count up by 1 each time. Maybe I want to count up by more than that, and there's different reasons why I want to do that. Sometimes you'll see it written like this: x is equal to x plus 1. And what that does is it takes the current value of x, adds 1 to it, and it puts it into a new value of x. Sometimes you'll see this written, instead of like this, you'll see it written as x plus plus. That does the same thing. Inside the code, what are we doing? We're doing a digital write to light. Remember, that's 13. We're setting it high, and then we're going to hold it for a second. We're going to do a digital write to light, which is the number 13, pin 13, and then we're going to turn it low and hold it for a second. We're going to do that a total of 3 times. That's what this for loop does. After that, what it's going to do, it's going to go down here and it's going to delay for 5 seconds. So notice it was turned off here, and we do a delay, and then it's going to delay another 5 seconds. So it's going to stay off for 5 seconds after it flashes 3 times. But then remember, this is void loop, so it will go back here and it will do this again. And we'll see it 3 times and then a long pause, 3 flashes, long pause. That's what this program does. So let's go ahead and run it, and let's make sure it works as expected. We'll go to Start Simulation. Flashes once, twice, and 3 times. And there's our long pause for 5 seconds. Flashes once, twice, 3 times, then it does a long pause. And again, once, there it is, twice, 3 times, and then a long pause. So that's how you can use a for loop. Make sure that you get everything typed in exactly like this here. You could use the variable x here, you could use the variable y, you could use z, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be x. I suggest you open up a Tinkercad and try this. See if you can get it to work. Hopefully you can. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.